with the media coverage officially under wraps, I guess it's finished and everything like that. So we're going to go ahead and check out all of the coverage of what has been transpired. So shout out to Whoops for this. Go drop that man a like and a sub if anything. We're gonna just cover all the jobs. We're not doing anything story, nothing exploration. I saw that little thing here's exploration. I'm not doing that. We're doing just the job changes. And then I think it's categorically melee, tank, healer, caster, phys range. So we're gonna break it into different segments for that. So starting off with the melees.
Hey everyone, my name is Woops, and I was fortunate enough to be invited to the Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail media tour. I had a blast getting to try a pre-release build and recorded some sweet footage for you guys to take a look at. Here you can see timestamps if you'd like to jump around, and there will be spoiler warnings for the new dungeon and zones. Before we hop into the job information, I must let y'all know that this is a pre-release build that has not undergone final adjustments. All content is subject to significant change. This video will contain a detailed look at all the new job adjustments, the new jobs, Viper and Pictomancer, a first look at the first Dawntrail MSQ dungeon, and some of the new zones. I really hope you all enjoy the video, and let's get started with the new job adjustments.
Let's go.
So first thing that's important to see, because
Whoa, okay, wait a second. What is winged? Is that winged glide? Ooh. Okay,
it affects a lot of jobs in the game.
Wait, go back. You gotta put me back into the situation. Let me see what happened.
The new job adjustments. So first thing that's
Mirage Dive is still there. 200 potency. Okay.
It's important to see because it affects a lot.
Delivers from 400. You know what? Hold on a second. I have my my game out here, so I'm gonna actually like follow suit per job actually. Out of like the curiosity, you know what I mean? So high jump. Okay, the potency for that hasn't changed as of right now. And on top of that, the effect. Okay, so this button is completely untouched.
A lot of jobs in the game are these new action change settings. For a lot of existing and new actions, you'll be able to use this to combine or separate those actions, and even enable or disable an innate recast timer to prevent accidental double weaving or make double.
So they actually incorporated that in for some jobs in some previous buttons that jobs had, and you either do it just so that you don't, if you're like mashing the button, you don't like make that mistake. But I think in a technicality, it's not good if you put that function. You don't want to put a recast timer for erroneous input. You do want to, I guess, take that off. If it is what I think it is, you want to keep that off, technically.
Double weaving even easier. For each job, we're going to take a brief look at all the changed things, new things, some removed things, and my general thoughts while past me struggles to quickly do a rotation for every single job in the short amount of time I had to record. We're going to go ahead and get started with my favorites, the melee DPS. Right off the bat, Feint now lasts 15 seconds instead of 10, and we got a potency increase on second wind. Yay!
Wait, second wind 800? Oh, it's currently 5. Okay, that's kind of a lot though. Wait, if I go on Dragoon, I have 83,000 HP. If I do second wind, it did a crit of 20k. So, okay, so it'll probably do like, what is that, like a little bit under a quarter? It's like 20% if anything. Something like that. No, I don't know. That number of potency increase though is kind of high.
Dragoon is where we're going to get started, and this is what I was most excited about for the entire event, honestly. We've heard that Dragoon was up on the block for some significant gameplay adjustments, and now we finally get to see them. So the first things we should talk about is the removal of Dragon Sight and the new personal damage buff.
They took out Dragon Sights. Okay. Let me get that redo real quick.
Gear Skogul. Dragon Sight was removed.
Wait, let's just go through the whole thing without touching it.
And now we finally get to see them. So the first things we should talk about is the removal of Dragon Sight and the new personal damage buff on Gear Skogul. Dragon Sight was removed, and presumably because of this, that damage buff, which was previously 10% to yourself and 5% to your selected partner, has now been attached to entering your life window with your new 60-second cooldown Gear Skogul, and is now just a 15% personal damage buff. So we don't need to accumulate eyes to enter our life windows anymore, and instead we just press our new 60-second cooldown Gear Skogul to enter life, give ourselves that 15% damage buff, and gain Nastrand Ready, which allows us to cast 3 Nastrands just like before. However, instead of a 10-second recast timer on Nastrand, it is now just 2 seconds.
What?
And yes, this means you can fire off all 3 of your Nastrons between 3 GCDs. I actually forgot to mess with my action chain settings here, so double weaving Gearskogel and Nastron was kind of clunky, but I'm like pretty sure if you disable that recast timer setting, it'll weave 100%. Way easier than it looks in this clip.
I'm telling you,
you may be asking yourself, since we don't need to accumulate eyes anymore to enter our life windows, what do high jump and mirage dive do? Well, they're now just purely potency. So we just press them on cooldown like we have before, but there's no life window tie-in to it anymore because they don't give eyes, and we don't need eyes. Next order of business, Spine Shatter Dive is now removed, but has been replaced with a new OGCD gap closer called Winged Glide. It does not deal damage and has 2 charges, which have 60-second charge times. So it's just like Spine Shatter, but it doesn't do any damage and has a totally different animation. Battle Litany's duration has been increased to 20 seconds from 15 seconds, presumably to match our other buff timers. Dragonfire Dive had a potency increase and now has a new follow-up action, Rise of the Dragon, which is an OGCD.
Yo, that's kind of fire. Okay. Because what? Dragon's Fire is currently 300 and went to 5?
You unlock at level 92. Stardiver also...
Wait, that's the 92 but... Oh, that's 92 ability. Okay. And then Stardiver is currently at 620 like it is here, but you get Star Cross.
Now has a new follow-up action, Star
Cross,
right,
that's super...
which is, again,
the movie's called Starcross? Oh, this sounds so sick! Yeah, that sounds godlike. Yo, Starcross sounds sick. Okay.
But you unlock this one at level 100. Both of these new follow-up actions on Dragonfire and Stardiver feel super snappy. They were great to press, and I could move around while doing them even. There were a few minor adjustments to our weapon skill combo. Our 5-part weapon skill combo has received a new static 5th hit. So instead of alternating between Wheeling Thrust and Fang and Claw, we will now always press Drake's Bane on our 5th weapon skill. This is not a positional, and it will automatically replace your next 5th hit, so it's not something you need to add to your bar. Disembowel and Vorpal Thrust have both received new upgraded versions, finally, with some new fancy animations and slight potency increases.
Spiral Blow.
And finally, I am so sorry to announce this, but Life Surge still exists, and it's the exact same.
Why?
Oh.
We also did not receive the actual personal defensive I've been praying for. Oh well. Anything else about Dragoon that I didn't mention is more or less the same.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
My overall impressions of the new Dragoon, I love it. Being able to have a life
Dragoon
window
looks
in our
sick,
opener is massive, like huge, massive. As much as I like managing my eyes to enter life, I'm a fan of the new Gearskogel and how easy it is to manage your timings for burst windows. I love the recast time change for Nastrand. I think it'll be super fun to shoot those 3 Nastrands out super fast
back to back, or you can
I'm a big fan of the new follow-ups to Dragonfire and Stardiver. They feel and look amazing. I really like the introduction of a positional free 5th hit to give us a bit more movement flexibility without eating up as many True North charges. The loss of Spine Shatter isn't really the end of the world for me. In fact, I kind of welcome it. I think the job has been polished up quite nicely and will still be in a great spot. And I'm really looking forward to see how they expand upon the job in the future. Although I gotta be honest, I'm a little mad about not having a real personal defensive action yet. Life Surge just doesn't cut it like the other melee defensives.
I get that.
Anyways, moving on to one of the new kids on the block.
Okay, interesting. So, I mean, honestly, I'm perfectly fine with what it feels like to me, and what it looks like to me is that Dragoon has not really undergone like a significant change. Because what the primary function is, they got rid of a buff of Dragon Sight. They actually did end up reworking the Gearskogel activation like a little bit, because now Mirage Dive, you used it twice in order to activate Nastrand mode, and like now you just do that naturally with the Gearskogel button. So I don't know, if I'm looking at my like character's hotbar currently, there's definitely going to be a couple of changes that I would have to incorporate, which is going to be complicated because I mean, my Spine Shatter would just turn into the glide. There's no more Dragon Sight. I have to figure out where to put that that Drake's Bane button, and I got to move Mirage Dive, and ooh, we got some choices actually. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not too sure yet, honestly. Chances are I might actually put Life Surge on the bottom. I'm gonna have to wait until I get the actual like hotbar up and running to see. So just for like some reference, here I am right now. This is what my hotbar currently looks like. So I'll probably end up moving it at some point. So no Spine Shatter though, that's cool. I mean, I feel like because there's no more Spine Shatter, I probably don't need it where Wing Glide would go to. So we'll see.
Viper. So Viper is awesome. It's fast, potent, and surprisingly simple to learn. If you take a look at the actions menu, you may get a bit overwhelmed, but trust me when I say it is really simple and streamlined to play. You have 2 single target combos. One uses your dual blades, and the other uses your combined twin blade. You also have 2 area of effect combos. And again, one uses your dual blades, and the other uses your combined twin blade. Within these combos are 2 important personal buffs and 1 important debuff to your target. Let's start with your personal buffs. Hunter's Instinct, which increases your damage dealt, and Swift Scaled, which reduces your weapon skill cast time, recast times, and auto attack delay. To put it simply, a damage buff and a haste buff. These buffs are acquired by pressing your second GCD in your weapon skill combos. Since there are 2 paths for each.
So this is a 1 to do this for the speed. This is a 1 to do this into the power.
Combo. One gives you the damage buff, and the other gives you your haste buff. To make this even more simple to understand, if the action name contains Hunters, it will grant you the damage buff. If the action name contains Swift, it will grant you the haste buff. The goal is to have these 2 buffs active at all times, and this is really easy to do by simply doing your weapon skill combos in order. Literally just press what lights up. You can also see what you need via the job gauge, but for real, you can just press what lights up and you'll get the buffs you need. Next important thing I mentioned is that one important debuff on your target. This is called Noxious Gnash. Targets with the Noxious Gnash debuff will take more damage from the player that applied said debuff, aka you. So you as a Viper won't deal that bonus damage if a different Viper player applies their own Noxious Gnash, and vice versa. You have to apply it yourself to deal that bonus damage. If you are familiar with Reaper's death design, this is very similar. You will want to apply Noxious Gnash to your target or targets, then keep it on your target or targets by using actions that apply or extend the duration. You can do this really easily by using actions with the word dread in their names. All of those actions are the first action in their respective combos. Your dual blades combos are always available to use, but your twin blade combos are on a 40-second charge timer with a maximum of 2 charges. While both versions, twin blade and dual blades, give the same amount of gauge and also apply the same buffs and debuffs, your twin blade combos deal more potency, have a slower GCD, and give you 1 rattling coil. Rattling coils are the red diamonds on your job gauge. These diamonds are expended to use your Uncoiled Fury GCD, which is an uncomboed 20 Yalm range attack that does a bunch of damage and is an AoE at your target. If you're wondering, Viper does have a few positionals. The dual blades combos finish with a positional. These are easy to tell because their actions either have flank or hind in their names. Whenever you do one of these dual blades positionals, you'll get a buff to the opposite positional, essentially having you alternate between flank and hind for the combo finishers. The twin blade combos, on the other hand, just have a positional on the second and third parts, which can be pressed in either order. Now that you understand the differences between the dual blades and twin blade combos, it's important to mention these combos have OGCD actions that you need to press at different points during their respective combos. Don't worry, it's really as simple as, when they light up, push them, but I'll explain further. The OGCDs are on assignable hotbar actions: Serpent's Tail, Twin Fang, and Twin Blood. As you might have guessed, Serpent's Tail is used to weave an OGCD into your dual blades combo, and Twin Fang as well as Twin Blood are used to weave 2 OGCDs into your twin blade combos. Twin Blade and Twin Blood are also used to weave a similar 2 OGCDs after your Uncoiled Fury GCD. You can see on screen now the exact timings for each of these OGCDs. As you can see, weaving the 2 OGCDs in your Twin Blade combo is easy because your GCD is way longer. Finally, we need to talk about your burst phase, which is entered by using Reawaken. You can press the GCD Reawaken once you have 50 gauge.
The burst mode does damage? Ooh, yo, that's kind of sick actually. Okay, now I understand why so the GCD move can, the cast time is long enough you can put 2 moves in there. Gotcha.
This deals a large amount of potency in an AoE around you and allows the usage of 5 powerful GCD actions.
So sick.
You simply press them in order: first generation, second generation, third generation, 4th generation, and finally Ouroboros. Each generation GCD action has a follow-up OGCD to press immediately after it. You'll do this for all 4 generations and then simply finish with Ouroboros. All these actions in Reawaken deal a lot of potency in an AoE around your target. Also, kind of a no-brainer, but since this is a combo chain, pressing the generation GCDs in order will increase the potency of this combo, so make sure you do that.
Yeah,
you also have a 2-minute cooldown ability called Serpent's Ire, which grants you 1 rattling coil, the diamonds on your job gauge, and 1 free usage of Reawaken, no 50 gauge required.
Oh, okay.
Some of you smart cookies out there may have just realized how simple this job really is.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yes, you are correct. The summary is just acquire and maintain your 3 buffs/debuffs, spend your rattling coils and do not overcap them, build your gauge up to use Reawaken during your burst windows, and that's it. Viper also has a slick little gap closer which can be used on an enemy or party member. It also has an uncomboed free ranged GCD in case you need to disconnect, and it does not have a personal defensive cooldown. That's it. I think this job is a ton of fun. It's
looks
super
so
satisfying
flashy.
and just the right amount of simple yet rewarding. I would highly recommend checking this job out even if you're not a melee player because it's super cool.
Yeah, this
Next
is
up,
sick.
let's talk about Monk.
It looks so clean.
Monk got a relatively...
I actually really like it. Overall, people were really harping on the idea that it was going to be very similar to Reaper, but it just seems like to me that it's actually very different. But it has similar uses of resources. I don't know. They take like a lot of little really cool bits and just turn it into what it is. So that's really sick, actually. So I think it's actually like incredibly dope. All right, Monk time.
Surprising update. We've seen many variations of Monk over the years, and we are now met with basically a new Monk again. And I actually really like this one. So the summary is your damage buff from Twin Snakes is gone, your damage over time from Demolish is also gone, but now we have a new mechanic in the way of Fury stacks. As you can see, you now need to gain and expend Fury stacks by performing the correct GCDs.
There's no more dot with
Boot Shine,
Monk?
True Strike, and Snap Punch have all 3 been given direct...
Wait. 300, okay. Oh, but it's still got a flank. Okay.
upgrades to Leaping Oppo, Rising Raptor, and Pouncing Coral, respectively. And to use these GCDs to their fullest potency, you must have a corresponding Fury stack. You are limited to having at any given point a maximum of 1 Oppo's Fury, 2 Raptor's Furies, and 3 Coral's Fury. You gain these Fury stacks by pressing Dragon Kick, Twin Snakes, and Demolish, respectively. You then spend them on doing Enhanced Leaping Oppo, Rising Raptor, and Pouncing Coral GCDs like I mentioned before. If you're wondering, Leaden Fist is now gone as well. All you need to do is manage your Fury stacks and perform the correct form GCDs in order like we have in the past. Elixir Field has now received a new coat of paint at level 92 and is now called Elixir Burst. Also, each Riddle ability you have now applies a buff called Rumination. So that's Riddle of Earth, Wind, and Fire applying Earth's, Wind's, and Fire's Ruminations, respectively. These Rumination buffs allow you to execute new
got like a little baby
Earth's
rework.
Reply is an OGCD which heals party members around you in an AoE. This heal is increased if you take damage while Riddle of Earth is active. Wind's Reply is a GCD line AoE that deals big damage to all enemies in front of you. Fire's Reply is a ranged GCD as well, which deals big damage to your target and in an AoE around your target. Brotherhood now allows your chakra to overcap to a total of 10 chakra, and it still only costs 5 chakra to use Forbidden Chakra. Also, Six-Sided Star got a huge potency buff, and it also expends any chakra you have saved up and deals bonus potency per chakra used.
Wait, what? Because Monk is currently... Because you don't use Six-Sided Star unless there's like a downtime thing, and it does 550. It does 750 plus each chakra point. So you got to get 10 chakras and then rip it. That's like a 1500 something potency attack. That's kind of crazy, actually. Okay.
Try not to pay too much attention to potencies during media tours, but I cannot help but look at how much potency this GCD does now and just go, wow. For my number nerds out there, I'll just say that they did also increase the potency on Forbidden Chakra to make it even, but still, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's 340 right now.
That's the Monk changes. Personally, I'm a fan. I think Monk is now super accessible and simple, and I really like that. I'm excited to punch and kick.
Oh my god. So I feel like with Monk, now that I'm thinking about it, there's no way that Monk is going to be like what we know it as now, right? Because like, I mean, what it looked like to me is that Masterful Blitz is still there. There's no more Leaden Fists. So we don't even get to Dragon Fist into Boot Shine anymore. That doesn't matter. And the riddles turn into ruminations. 10 chakras. Well, actually, there's not really a lot of button changes. I don't really feel like. But they did kind of. They definitely changed it up though. Like there's no more potency, right? Because you don't even there's no more disciplined fist, and there's no dot. You just have to like maintain button presses. So the order in what you press, I think, is more streamlined. But I think the way that you, yeah, I don't know. I feel like they may have actually like miniature reworked the job more than we realized. So that's actually very fascinating to me, actually. I mean, that's cool, but I'm also very intrigued. So, all right.
Next up, let's check out Samurai. So Samurai is largely the same. It got a few quality of life adjustments and some upgrades. First things first, you no longer have Tsubame charges. Kind of. Now the way that it works is that every time you use Meikyo, you get a usage of Tsubame. It basically ties the two abilities together, so you don't have to manage them separately anymore. Higenbana is no longer repeatable with Tsubame, RIP, even though it was useless.
Wait,
I loved it because...
Wait, really? That kind of sucks, actually. It's kind of like, it wasn't useful in certain scenarios, but like it was though. Although the problem is I can't think of a fight scenario in this entire expansion where it was useful. Whether it actually, no, not you can't use. I mean, you can't do it in top or DSR. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. I'm thinking about the raids. 4, 3, 2, 1. Trials. You know, you technically didn't do it. You didn't have to, but it was cool that you could. But the fact that they took it out, I guess it makes sense.
Because it was funny. At level 100, Meikyo now grants you 1 Tendo per usage. This Tendo buff allows the execution of an enhanced Midare or an enhanced Tenka Goken. These are renamed to Tendo Setsugeka and Tendo Goken, and they look super cool. Iki Shoten still gives Oginami Kiri ready and 50 gauge, but now also gives you Zanshin ready. Zanshin is a new OGCD that conveniently costs 50 gauge and deals big damage in a cone. Gurren and
sick,
Sene
actually.
now have a 60-second cooldown via a trait at level 94.
Oh.
And just FYI, this is coming down from what was previously a 120-second cooldown. So this is kind of
they
nuts.
turned it into
Shoha got the change that...
Wait, what? Okay, they turned Sene and Gurren into minute moves instead of 2-minute moves? Yo, that's... And the crazy part, too, is that there's actually a big difference between playing the job now at level 90 and 80 versus playing it at 100. The job isn't gonna... I mean, in my mindset, from what it seems like, it doesn't play the same at all. So that's very interesting, actually.
Basically everyone was expecting. They combined the single target and AoE Shoha buttons into a singular Shoha
it's one button.
And now it's just a line AoE OGCD that deals big damage to the first target and slightly less for each target.
I'm actually cool that they made it a line,
though. It
though.
gets a direct upgrade at level 82, actually.
Ooh,
it still gives you gauge when hit, but it now also gives you a delayed personal heal. It is now called Tengetsu. Hakaze, aka your first button in your single target rotation, gets a direct upgrade. Fancy. And in case you are wondering, Hagakure and Meditate still exist and function the same. Nothing too drastic here. Feels like the job just got cleaned up a bit and got a little more flair. Looks super great. And also, side note, the artifact gear looks super cool. We're moving on.
Okay. Yo, that's kind of nuts, actually. So, like, if you look at the buttons here, right? Like... Okay, so Meikyo gives you a free Tsubame. So this button no longer has 2 charges. This has 2 charges, but you just use this for free. The fact that Sene and Gurren have are 60 seconds is so nuts. I don't know where to put all those extra buttons at though, but I guess we're not gonna have 2 Shohas, so that's actually pretty sweet. Third eye gets an upgrade. Yeah, Jutsu's still there, Ogi's still there. Shinten's still there. I guess the AoE doesn't change all too much. But yeah, they combine these 2 buttons for the Shohas. Okay. Hagakure's still there. I don't think you ever use that button, honestly. Not that I know of. So, that's interesting. Okay. Dude, it's kind of clean, actually. I really want to know what the... Because, like, right now, from what I understood, they didn't take out any buttons except for Shoha. So, like... The fact that thank you. The fact that there's a bunch of extra buttons, I don't know like how I'm going to be able to incorporate that in my hotbar with the current setup. It seems like to me that they don't really remove a lot of buttons, but they add a bunch of more. So we'll find out, actually. I'm very intrigued. But Samurai looks fire, dude.
It's time to take a peek at Ninja. Right off the bat, the Huton gauge is now gone. You'll no longer need to maintain your timed gauge with Huton, Hurricane, or Armor Crush. Instead, we now have a trait for haste like Huton used to provide. Instead of the old Huton gauge, we now have Kazematoi, which are the little kunai on the job gauge. Every time you press Armor Crush as a comboed action, you receive two of these Kazematoi. These, simply enough, just increase the potency of comboed Aeolian edges. So just make sure you always have some of these Kazematoi and spend them on your Aeolian edges. Mug now receives an upgrade at level 66 and is changed to Dokumori. This deals increased potency as well as the increased damage taken buff. At level 96, Dokumori receives a trait upgrade which gives you a stack of Higi.
Wait, what is what is it currently? It's Mug is 150. Oh, they double the potency literally? Okay, but it's still 20 seconds? Okay, sorry.
Higi when used. Higi can be used to enhance one Bava Kakra or Hellfrog. The enhanced Bava becomes Zesho Meppo, which is an awesome spinny attack OGCD, and the enhanced Hellfrog is just an even bigger frog that shoots flames. In my rush state of recording at the media tour, past Whoops forgot to record this ability or even hover over the job action. I am so sorry.
We kind of saw it in the job action trail, so it's fine.
A higher potency AoE.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Sorry. Anyways, Trick Attack gets a direct upgrade at level 92. It becomes Kunai's Bane. This is literally just an AoE trick attack.
Yeah, it does
slightly
600.
More potency
Oh, it's AoE.
Fall-off damage to additional targets and applies the same 10%.
Wait, but if it's AoE, that's actually kind of nuts. Yo, Ninja's cracked with that.
Damage taken from the ninja that applied it to all targets hit, and obviously does not require a positional anymore. This is awesome. Period. Slay. Tenchi Jin now grants Tenri Jindo Ready at level 100 via a trait, which allows the execution of the OGCD Tenri Jindo, which appears to be a big AoE attack on your target. However, again, past Whoops fumbled and forgot to hover over the job action here. Teehee. Some of you may be wondering, since the Huton gauge is gone, what does the Huton Mudra do now? Well, luckily for you, I accidentally hovered over it for literally 1 frame, and Jill is the best editor ever, so here you go. It is now essentially an AoE Suiton. It deals AoE damage.
That's so funny. Fire damage the potency of 240 to a target and all enemies near it. Oh.
On your target with no fall off, and grants you the Shadow Walker buff, which allows the usage of Trick Attack, which is now called...
Let me get that one more time.
It is now essentially an AoE Suiton. It deals AoE damage on your target with no fall off, and grants you the Shadow Walker buff, which allows the usage of Trick Attack, which is now called Kunai's Bane. As you can see, Ninja still very much cooks. It's super fun and literally just got better. I am personally very excited to play some Ninja in Dawntrail.
It just looks so much more cleaner. Okay, so I feel like with the changes for Ninja, like I think Horizon's still in there, right? So what's that macro thing? I don't actually know. Fleeting and Forked Raiju still there, which is cool. The Jutsu casting and the ninjutsu still there for sure. It becomes Kunai's Bane. Dream is still there. Katsatsu's still there. Tenchi Jin still there. But Tenchi Jin, I'm pretty sure, turns into the 10-day Tenchi, that move, right? I forgot the name of it already. I guess Bunshin's still there. And then Bavra and Hellfrog get upgrades. And then Armor Crush is still a big deal. Interesting. Okay. Very, very cool. All right, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, again, I feel like with Ninja, there's not like a lot of changes job-wise or button-wise, but I feel like it would still... There might be some space that I got to figure out, something of the nature. So I'm very intrigued, actually. And last week, we got at least the Reaper.
All right, last one for the melees. Here comes Reaper. So, like the last 2 melees, Reaper is still mostly the same, but got some cool upgrades and quality of life. Right away, Harp and Harvest Moon, your ranged GCDs, now give you 10 soul gauge instead of nothing, so you aren't punished as bad for disconnecting from your targets. Gluttony now gives you a special buff at level 96 called Executioner. This allows for the usage of enhanced Gibbet, Gallows, and Guillotine. Obviously, you just get to do 2 of these since Gluttony gives you 2 Soul Reaver stats, but those 2 will be super enhanced and awesome looking. These new versions are simply called Executioners Gibbet, Gallows, or Guillotine, and will do increased potency over a normal version. At level 92, Enshroud will now also grant Oblatio, which will allow you to execute Sacrificium. Simply put, once you enshroud,
that move sounds so sick. Hold on, I have to go. Yo, that
do
sounds
increased potency
sick.
Over a normal.
That move sounds godlike.
92, Enshroud will now also
I'm sorry for keep on pausing it.
Which will allow you to execute Sacrificium. Simply put, once you enshroud, your Gluttony Keybind becomes a free OGCD that you can squeeze into your enshroud window. It does big AoE damage with some fall off. At level 100, Plentiful Harvest will now grant you Perfectio Occulta. The tooltips describe exactly how this works, but honestly, simply put, it just makes your next Communio grant a follow-up Super Communio called Perfectio, which is an instant cast
yo,
GCD
that
that does big AoE damage.
Yo, it looks
also
godlike.
Instead of Plentiful Harvest giving you 50 gauge to Enshroud, it will now grant you a personal buff
that
you
get
lets
the
you
guarantee.
Enshroud once for free.
Ideal
this will
host
be
sounds
super
sick.
good to prevent overcapping.
And
that's it for Reaper. Like I said, pretty
that
simple
looks
upgrades and quality of life.
goated.
This will probably still be my pocket pick after Dragoon, honestly.
Yeah,
I'm excited to rip some more
I gotta
Communios.
like mess around with it.
Okay.
That actually looks so clean. So like it's kind of clear actually. So the fact that Solso and turning into Harvest Moon and then Harpe both giving you gauge is actually really cool. Right now they don't, so I really enjoy that. The Gluttony activation for both the Gibbet Gallows as well as the Guilty upgrade, that's fire. It seems like to me that the job like barely changed. What did they include basically? Arcane Circle, you get a free Plentiful for the Enshroud. Enshroud gives you, I guess, instead of doing Lemure's Slice twice or Scythe, you just do one of the other moves, which is a stronger version, the Crystal, the Sanctiful one, what's called, and then you get a double Communio. Yo, that looks so sick. So okay, yo, DPS looking kind of flashy in Dawntrail right now, which is actually so clean. So I'm really hyped to find out. Tune in next time we go check out the tanks.